Back up. I'm Chris Durkee. I'm the chair of Palisades Neighborhood Association. So welcome, everybody, and especially welcome to our school board candidates. Thank you so much for taking time to meet with us. I know this is a very busy season, this close to the election. So thank you for sacrificing that time to be with us. We're anxious to hear your thoughts on a variety of subjects. So I'm going to turn it over right to Jenny. And at the end of this section of the program, you're welcome to hang in if you want or move on as you wish. Then our formal board meeting will then start. Jenny, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chris, for the introduction, and thank you all for coming and making time this evening. We are so excited to have you here today, and we know your time is valuable. So let's get started. Just to let everyone know, all candidates were invited, and Lena, Neelam, and Kate responded and joined us. So thank you so much. And tonight we will start with introductions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves. And then we have a series of questions that board association members, the people from the community sent us. And so we'll be asking those questions. Everyone received the questions in advance. And for each question, the candidates know that we've changed the order. So each person will answer. Everyone will have a chance to be first and last and in the middle. So we'll get started now. And I'm going to just use my timer and we'll begin. So Lena, you are first. Welcome, and we look forward to hearing your introduction.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lena El-Bakshish. Oh, can you hear me okay? Is that perfect? Okay. I am running for school board position number 2. I'm a parent and a community member, and I'm hoping to bring strong financial leadership and a renewed focus on academic excellence to support all of our students. I have a background in finance and accounting, and I've spent the past 20 years working in Silicon Valley at Ernst & Young, Airbnb, and Stripe. I bring the skills to critically evaluate budgets, ask the right questions, and help ensure that every dollar we're spending is supporting student success. I'm a parent of 3 in the district, and I've been involved in our schools for many years, so I understand both the strengths that we need to preserve and the areas where we must do better. My strengths as a candidate are my financial expertise, my ability to listen and collaborate across perspectives, and my focus on doing what's best for our students. And I will ensure that the voice of students, parents, and community members is heard prior to any board level decision making without politics, without personal agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. Next is Neelam. And if you just wait 1 second, and go back to redo the 2 minutes. All right. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Neelam Gupta, and I'm running for re-election for position 2 on the Lake Oswego School Board. Thank you so much for inviting me here today to speak with you. I have a 35-year history in Lake Oswego and its schools, first as a sibling and now as a parent. I moved to Lake Oswego when I was a teenager. My younger brother, Rajan, attended Lake Oswego High School, where he received an excellent education that allowed him to flourish and become a practicing physician. Whether our graduates decide to work or further their education, I want them to be ready for that next step. The Lake Oswego schools gave that to my family, and I want that for each child in the district. That's why when I had an opportunity to move back to the Portland area 10 years ago, I chose Lake Oswego for the same reasons my parents did, for the top-notch schools. I have been an active school supporter since we moved back and have developed relationships through my service. I've been on the Lake Oswego Schools Foundation Board, on parents clubs, co-chairing the 2019 levy campaign. As an active volunteer in the classroom and school activities, I have participated in LO for Love and Respond to Racism. My daughter, who inspires me every day, is at the same high school my brother was at, and she'll become the second generation in my family to graduate from the Lake Oswego schools this spring. I was appointed to the school board in June 2020 as a first person of color, and I was elected for a 4-year term in May 2021. I have endorsements from all current school board members, many former school board chairs, Mayor Joe Buck, and several city councilors, and Senate President Rob Wagner, whose seat I stepped into when he left the school board in 2020. I'm running for re-election because we have accomplished a lot and there is still work to do.
Thank you. All righty. We will now go to Kate. Kate.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us tonight. My name is Kate Lupton. I'm running for school board, Lake Oswego School Board Position 4. I'm a River Grove parent. I have 3 children. I'm an educator and I'm a lifelong Oregonian, and I'm running for our school board because I want to preserve and expand upon our reputation as the #1 school district in Oregon. And not only that, I think that our school district can lead the rest of the state to go up higher in the rankings for throughout the U.S. Because we have a lot of power and political power here in Lake Oswego that can influence what's going on at the state. I am the only candidate who has 8 years of direct classroom experience, and I also have a graduate degree in education policy. So I spent 2 years teaching middle school, 4 years teaching high school, and 2 years teaching college courses. I'm a Spanish teacher by trade, and I currently develop curriculum for other Spanish teachers to use in their classrooms. And I grade international baccalaureate exams for the diploma exam at the end of the year. Um, I I loved teaching, and it was also very difficult. It was a really hard job, and I have a great amount of respect for our teachers. And I think that I'm someone who can work with teachers and really understand what's going on at the classroom level. So I know what policies will work and which ones won't on the ground, and how to save money on policies as well. Um, I have my degree from the University of Oregon, and I also have a master's degree in Spanish from Portland State University. And I got my master's in education policy from Johns Hopkins University. And I spent 4 years teaching high school Spanish in Baltimore, which was a good experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate. All right, we're going right to our first question. The question is the current budget crisis a unique event, or is it going to be an ongoing challenge in years ahead? What specific programs or areas would you prioritize for protection, and where do you see potential for responsible cuts? So we'll have 2 minutes, and we will begin with Neelam for this question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You go.
Okay. Lake Oswego School District has a budget shortfall for the first time in 15 years, whereas Lake Oswego's neighboring school districts have had budget deficits for more than 1 year. In Lake Oswego, we are making budget adjustments one time, so we are not in a deficit again next year. My main priority throughout the budgeting process has been protecting students and their educational experience. The district started by identifying areas of reduction furthest from the classroom. The focus has been on operational efficiencies, adjustments that could be made without eliminating entire programs or critical services. The priorities included maintaining low class sizes and preserving essential learning experiences and supports. We are also focused on building back our budget reserves. Lake Oswego School District has had to make similar cuts in the past. It is difficult to completely prevent budget deficits because public school funding is complex. Public school districts have a responsibility to serve all students, and we have mandates that are not optional. The school board makes decisions based on data, best practices, and community engagement to provide all students with educational opportunities. In addition, public school districts receive their funding allocation from the Oregon legislature every 2 years, which makes long-term fiscal planning difficult. I feel lucky that LOSD has an excellent fiscal team that provides the school board with regular financial updates, as well as a legal budget committee comprising school board and appointed citizen members that review and approve the budget each year. In addition, I went to Salem 2 weeks ago with school board members across the state to advocate to our legislative representatives for increased school funding. It is also important for our neighborhood associations to join the campaign to pass the 3rd phase of our bond package, which will relieve pressure on the general fund budget when building repairs and other improvements are needed.
Right at 2 minutes. Perfect. Thank you. All right, Kate, your turn.
Well, it's hard to follow Neelam on that one because she knows exactly what she's talking about. But I can add to that. So like Neelam said, she spent some time in in Salem advocating for more school funding. I have experience doing that through Portland State University. I'm a member of the Portland State University Advocates, and every spring we go down and do something similar, but on the university level. And so I've experienced that firsthand, and that's how I know that it is possible to make an influence, to be influential at the state level. And especially here in Lake Oswego, when we have leaders like Rob Wagner, who came directly from our school board and now is Senate president. He endorsed me, and so that's really helpful. And I feel like I would be able to bring concerns to him directly. And I wanted to say that, of course, it's terrible to make cuts. It's a really hard question to answer because there's never going to be a good response. You're never going to feel good about cutting teachers or cutting people. And 80% of our budget is people. So it's going to include cutting people when we have to talk about budget cuts. We've done a really good job making sure that our rainy day reserves were shored up for this situation, and now we're using them. And we have a lot of smart leadership going on there. So I just want to make sure that I also shared, sorry, I'm reading my notes. Yeah, it's really hard making cuts because of the teachers' unions have an established process that they've made and they've agreed on, and all of the teachers had to vote and all the teachers had to agree that that's how the process would work. And so, unfortunately, in a lot of situations, it works on seniority. So it doesn't go by necessarily which teacher is the best or is performing really well. It's all about who's been there the longest. And I think that's one of the parts about budget cuts that makes it so difficult. But we do have to follow the union mandates because they've been voted on and it's part of a contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. All right, Lena, thank you.
So I will say I'm on the opposite end of, I guess, what the panel believes about our budget. So the current budget crisis did not come out of nowhere, and I think this will not be a one-time event. For the past 5 years, the school board has approved budgets that were operating at a deficit, and they've depleted our reserves and made unsustainable financial decisions, all while pointing the finger at state funding. And I think the truth is that this board hasn't taken responsibility for the spending choices that got us here. And that's why I think we need to take a hard, honest look at how we're allocating our resources. We must prioritize what matters the most, which is strong classroom instruction in core subjects like math, English, science, and programs like PE and STEM that serve all students. At the same time, I think we need to look at the costs, where costs have grown in ways that can't sustain. And I want to be really clear before I go into this next section that I fully support students with IEP and 504 plans. I want to make that very clear because I think there was some miscommunication about that. So what I'm about to say does not apply to them, but I want to make that clear. We're currently spending over 20% of our budget, which is about 22 million, on behavioral support. And this pertains to students that are violent and disruptive in the general education classroom setting. 5 years ago, the district moved from a centralized model to placing these students with significant behavioral challenges into the general education classroom with individual aids, so one-on-one support. Since then, we've added 200 staff members while enrollment has gone down. So this is where that staffing is coming in from. In just one case, there were 17 students that were so disruptive and violent in the general ed classrooms that they required an alternative program that cost $1.7 million. And that's funding that could have supported thousands of students within the district. That's funding for PE, STEM, and strings, all these programs that are being cut. And I think the decisions that the district made were made without a thorough cost benefit analysis, and that's a problem. So I'm advocating, I'm advocating a line by line review of programming, staffing, and administrative spending. And we need to ask the hard questions using data and making sure that every dollar is focused on helping students.
Thank you, Lena. The next question we have is, what are your plans to improve Lake Oswego student outcomes academically, and how would you gain support from fellow school board members? And we're going to start with Kate this time. Okay, you are not on mute, Kate. You have to unmute. So let me restart your time. Okay.
Thank you.
Ready? Okay, go. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so test scores. I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference in Oregon, and I have an op-ed that I wrote in the Lake Oswego Review about this if you want to read more. it's a little easier to put it in writing for me, but I can speak about it as well. So when I was teaching in Baltimore, we were required by the state of Maryland to teach 180 days of school, have 180 instructional days for students per year. And most of the states in our nation do have that requirement, 180 full instructional days. If there's a snow day, it has to be made up. It's a state mandate, and it's a legal requirement. Here in Oregon, we have something similar, but the difference is that it's in hours, and our hours balance out to closer to 160, 163 school days per year. And unfortunately, most of our districts in Oregon are not hitting the 180 school days because they're not required to. Um, and there's a lot of things that we can do about test scores when you give teachers the time in the classroom to actually make the difference with their kids. And I feel that very acutely because I was a very type A teacher where I had a very rigorous curriculum and I had every day planned out and I had every lesson perfectly timed. And those 180 days were very valuable to me. If I would have missed as a teacher, 15 to 17 days like we do here in our district of instructional time, then I would have felt that loss acutely. And so we need to partner with the state to increase our days and our funding, but also with groups like Stand for Children, who I've been endorsed by, because they're doing the advocating at the state level for reading and math scores for elementary school students.
Thank you, Kate. Lena, I have you next. I don't know if
Thank
I'm, okay, yeah. All right, thank you.
So test scores are an important measure of how well we're preparing students. And unfortunately, in recent years, excuse me, we've seen a decline in performance, especially in areas like math and reading. And I think that's concerning, and it raises the fundamental question, are we teaching the right things in the right way? Excuse me, hold on 1 second. Thank you. So LOSD's math proficiency rates for 11th graders is 52%. And I was shocked when I heard this. And I think it's an unacceptable result. And the district knows this. So they've decided to tout graduation rates because 97% is a much better metric than 52. And unfortunately, there's been a shift in recent years away from foundational academic skills. While it's important to support the whole child, we can't lose sight of our core responsibility, which is making sure that every student is proficient in reading, writing, math, science. And if students are struggling with the basics, then we need to ask whether the curriculum is rigorous enough, whether instructional time is being used effectively, and whether we're giving teachers the tools they need to focus on academics. We should be constantly evaluating curriculum based on evidence and not on trends. And our students deserve that, and they deserve an education that challenges them and prepares them and sets them up for long-term success. In terms of getting support from fellow board members, I think collaboration is key. I believe in leading with facts, listening respectfully, and focusing on what unites us, which is just a shared commitment to student success. And I think when we center the conversation on outcomes, data, and what's best for kids, and not ideology, I think we can find common ground and make real progress.
Thank you, Lena. All right, next, Neelam.
So the 2025 report card for the National Assessment for Educational Progress, or NAEP, shows that Oregon's 4th and 8th graders scored in the bottom half of all states in math and reading proficiency tests last year. Data is available at a state level and not specifically for Lake Oswego students. However, there are areas for improvement. Lake Oswego student performance in the statewide test, Smarter Balance Assessment, has seen scores go down in math and English language arts in the past 10 years. The school board has taken proactive steps to assess students and improve their academic outcomes. 4 years ago, LOSD began using iReady, a K-8 program designed to help teachers identify students' strengths and weaknesses in reading and math, and to provide personalized instruction to address learning gaps. LOSD has also adopted the multi-tiered systems of supports, or MTSS, a framework that helps to identify students needing support and intervene early on. We've also added academic, mental health, and learning supports in the past 10 years to address the needs of our students, particularly post-pandemic. The school board reviews educational data regularly, including other measures of student proficiency and achievement, and has seen positive progress. Some examples include Lake Oswego student composite SAT scores have increased slightly from the 2017-2018 school year. 89% of Lake Oswego students in the 2023-24 school year received a score of 3 or higher on an advanced placement test. The number of students taking advanced placement tests increased, and students saw score increases in math, science, and English tests. I participated in a professional development opportunity that kicked off yesterday on how to use artificial intelligence to transform educational experiences and make learning more accessible to students and families. I'm grateful to my school board colleague, Director Brian Bills, who is an AI expert and leading the school board in this area.
Thank you so much for your response. All right, we're moving on to the next question. The question is, former Lake Oswego High School track coach John Parks was fired last year and now has a lawsuit filed. If Parks wins, it could potentially cost the district millions in damages. What role should the school board have in avoiding lawsuits like this? And we'll begin with Lena.
I believe the school board has an important role in helping the district avoid lawsuits like the one involving Coach Parks, not by getting involved in the day-to-day personnel decisions, but by making sure that we have the right systems and safeguards in place. Lawsuits are not just legal issues, they're financial risks, and the board should be asking, do we have clear HR policies? Are administrators trained to follow them? Are we documenting our decisions the right way? These are the kinds of internal controls that I've worked with in the past, and I think they're critical to avoiding problems before they escalate. Insurance is also a key part of that equation. I think the district needs to carry strong liability coverage to protect taxpayers. But insurance should not be a backstop. It's not the main strategy. But insurance should be, should be a backstop and not the main strategy. I think prevention is always less expensive than cleanup. So I think at the end of the day, it's about building trust and accountability in our systems. And when we have strong policies, clear communication, and consistent practices, we reduce the risk of costly mistakes and keep the focus where it belongs.
Thank you, Lena. Now we'll go to Neelam.
So I want to start by saying how important sports are for our kids. Through friendly competition, teamwork, and physical activity, kids who are in sports activities are offered opportunities to learn new skills, develop self-confidence, build character, and more. To quote Bill Bowerman, a co-founder of Nike, if you have a body, you are an athlete. In other words, you don't have to be an elite athlete or receive a college sports scholarship to engage in physical activity and benefit from it. Situations like the one involving former coach John Parks are always challenging for a community. First, I want to be clear. The Lake Oswego School District is insured through PACE, which means any financial liability from lawsuits like this one will be covered by our insurance provider, not directly by local taxpayers or school programs. To answer the second part of the question about the school board role, the school board has an important role to play in preventing these kind of issues from happening in the first place. That includes setting clear policies around staff conduct, supporting strong hiring and oversight practices, ensuring that any concerns from students, staff, or families are addressed quickly and appropriately. We also work to ensure district leadership is trained in legal compliance and risk management. Public school districts can't always prevent lawsuits, but we can lead in a way that minimizes risk and builds a culture of accountability, fairness, and transparency. That's the kind of leadership I focused on and will continue to provide if I am reelected to serve another term.
Thank you. Kate?
Once again, it's tough to follow Neelam because she said a lot of what I was going to say. So sorry, Neelam, I'm not trying to repeat after you. But I did want to say that it's an ongoing litigation, and unfortunately, it's not something that I'm privy to the details on. I just know what the public knows based on reading newspaper articles. And even if I did know confidential information. I wouldn't be able to share it. And so this will be pretty brief. I basically just wanted to say that it's important to remember we have, like Neelam said, PACE, and that's through the OSBA, and all of the school districts in Oregon use PACE because school districts do get sued, unfortunately, and it's a part of the process. I unfortunate part of the process. I don't love that part, but I do think that the insurance with PACE and OSBA helps to cover in these cases to help support the school district to not have to lose money, because the most important thing is to make sure we retain our money for our kids. Thank you.
All righty, we're going to our last question right now. What do you think, what do you want voters to know about your vision for Lake Oswego School District, and what specific professional skills do you bring that set you apart from other candidates? And we're going to begin with Neelam.
I bring my professional expertise along with lived experiences to school board service. I am a public health professional and social worker who has a 20-plus year career devoted to advancing health equity for diverse communities and nonprofit, labor, and advocacy organizations, and now at the Oregon Health Authority. I understand the complexities of public budgeting through my day job. I have teamwork and advocacy skills, having served on the board of the Oregon School Boards Association, a statewide association that provides school board members the knowledge, skills, and tools for improving student success and positive outcomes. I'm also on the executive committee of the Oregon School Board Members of Color Caucus. I believe in building bridges to achieve policy and systems change, and I have worked with multiple partners to accomplish shared goals. It's clear how important these particular skill sets and experiences are needed for our local government, such as school boards. Being on a school board is hard and meaningful work that takes a leader committed to listening, learning, and centering student voices. My priorities during this next term are to provide leadership to help the district navigate the current budget shortfall and develop its new strategic plan, pass the third phase of our bond so that our district has funding for flexible, healthy, sustainable, and safe facilities, continue to support our local levy, which funds 105 educators, focus on mental health supports and services, fully fund special education, and create an even stronger culture of belonging and inclusion in partnership with our community to prepare our kids for the world outside Lake Oswego, allow them to soar, and be ready for the jobs of the future. Again, this is what the Lake Oswego schools gave my family, and I want the same for every child in the district. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Kate.
Thank you for having us tonight. I am, as I said before, a parent of 3, and my youngest is 1.5 years old. Her name is Sophie. And so thanks to Sophie, I'm going to be a parent in the Lake Oswego School District for the next 20 years. I'm incredibly invested in our district. I also think it's really important to note that there aren't often candidates that have 8 years of direct classroom experience that are running for a school board position. And this is a unique thing that will bring I'm going to bring a lot to the board and be able to give all the perspective needed from a teacher's point of view, a parent point of view. There's a lot of different things that I can cover there. And I have my master's in education policy, and I take education policy very seriously. And it's my passion. I love to talk about it. So I've been having a great time during this campaign because everyone wants to talk about my favorite subject all the time. So that's been good. My number one priority as a school board member would be to ensure students can compete academically on a national level, and that's through kindergarten, AP courses, and college prep courses. We have to provide those rigorous academic offerings. We have to promote effective curriculum, and it has to be backed by current research and best practices. And we have to explore options for expanded learning time and educational opportunities so that our students can learn at the same level that students in other states enjoy. That 180 days, I think, is a very important marker for us to work towards. My second priority is to empower the community to provide input to the Lake Oswego School Board. I do know that although all of the meetings are public, sometimes parents just don't feel as comfortable coming to the meetings or speaking up. And so I hope that I can be a conduit and help bring more parents into meetings to be able to give feedback directly to the board, and feel empowered to do that. I want to also partner with groups like Stand for Children, LOSN, Respond to Racism, and of course the neighborhood boards. That's where we get a lot of perspective on what's going on in our community. And so partnering with those groups, as well as of course the teachers who are in the classroom every day. My second priority, and I'll finish there, is that we just need to incorporate all of those voices in, and make sure we're listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. All right, Lena, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want voters to know that my vision for Lake Oswego School District is rooted in academic excellence, fiscal responsibility, and rebuilding trust with our community. We have incredible students, teachers, and families, but we are at a crossroads. And academic performance is slipping, our enrollment is declining, and we're facing serious budget challenges. So we need leadership that is willing to ask the hard questions, focus on student outcomes, and ensure that every dollar is spent wisely. My vision is to bring the district back to its core mission, which is delivering a rigorous, well-rounded education to our students. And that means protecting programs that benefit many, like PE and STEM, while taking a closer look at areas where spending has grown unsustainably. It also means listening more closely to parents and teachers and putting students and not politics at the center of every decision. Professionally, I bring a background in finance and accounting, and that has given me the tool to understand complex budgets, ask the right questions, and make informed decisions. I've worked with large organizations to assess priorities, manage resources, and improve performance. And I'll bring that same discipline and transparency to the school board. In terms of what sets me apart, I think just very bluntly, I'm not running on any ideology. I'm running as a parent and a community member and a professional who believes that we can do better. And I think we need to bring that focus and accountability back to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. And thank you, all of you, Neelam, Kate, Lena. We are so grateful for your time and for taking a moment just to answer our questions from our neighborhood association. So we just want you to know you're always welcome to join the Palisades Neighborhood Association meetings. Our meetings are open, transparent, and anyone can join if you're ever interested or you need to consult or connect with us or take the time to have a voice or to share anything. So again, thank you so much. You're welcome
Thank
to
you.
relax and leave tonight. So thank you. And I just want everyone to know we do have a story of you, each of you and your websites up on the Palisades Neighborhood Association website, and they'll stay there until the election. So our community can continue to research and learn more about each of you.
Thank you so much.
And for the
Yeah.
community, it's also, Janae, I'd like to add, they can subscribe to the newsletter to get a good idea of what's going on in the neighborhood. And these meetings are every month, the second Thursday, 7 o'clock, and they're open. Just go to the website, register for Zoom, and then you're in.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you all so much.
you.
Have a good evening.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. You're welcome to stay if you want. I think we can dispense with the formal roll call since Elisa has a record of the board members who are here. We have a quorum. So let's start with the treasurer's report. John?
Okay, our current balance in our Home Street bank account is $463.82. We've got pending reimbursements totaling a little over $250 that I'm going to submit to the city here for reimbursement soon. I'm anticipating additional spending by PNA this fiscal year for additional yard signs and web hosting fees. So if possible, if y'all could provide me with expected expenditures so I can plan for the reimbursement request to the city, that would be very helpful. I have completed the paperwork I received from Home Street Bank to add Chris Durkee as a signatory for our account. And once PNA has finalized the meeting minutes from our April meeting, indicating that Chris has been elected as the new PNA chair, I'll submit that paperwork to the bank. Once they receive the paperwork, they'll compile a new set of documents for Chris and I to sign. P&A residents are encouraged to donate to our neighborhood association. So for additional information about projected expenditures and how to donate, refer to the Get Involved, I Want to Donate page on the Palisades neighborhood.org website.
Great. Thanks, John. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes that I drafted? I think there are two sets of minutes that need to be approved. One is from the general meeting and one is from the officer election meeting. And Jenny, are
I
you?
still owe the general meeting. I promise I'll get it done this weekend.
Okay, that's no, there's no problem. The officer election meeting, I did put a note in there that to confirm that I had been elected. So that can serve the purpose of our bank account. So that takes some of the heat off. So can someone move that the minutes for the officer election meeting be approved?
I move that the minutes be approved.
Okay, second. Thanks, Cyrus. All approve, raise your hand. Okay, great. Unanimous. I assume Meg's on it. Great. Thanks,
Yeah.
Meg. Okay. New business chair report. A couple of things. Jenny, perfect. The great program right on time. It was really good job. Thank you. I wanted to let folks know that I'm in the process of meeting with the mayor and all the councilors. I've met with Mayor Buck and Councilor Afghan and Councilor Verdick, all very, very positive and encouraging meetings. And I have meetings set with all the rest of the councilors with the exception of Wendland, but I know I'll get that one set in the next couple of weeks. And the gist of it is P&A and the city can work together and do great things like we did on Receipt Phase 2. And so let's keep that up. Let's focus on what we want to do, things that we have in common, priorities that we have in common. And they are all very, very encouraging. And I know there will be conflicts that will come up and we can solve those, but I want to solve them with the city from the context and the background of working together to achieve common goals rather than just coming in and butting heads. So I'm really optimistic about how that is going and how well we've been received. One of the mayor's goals and the city goals is 20 is plenty. That's coming up. I'm kind of giving Rob's report here since he's not here. Let me see if I can share this real quick. Let's see. I want to share. How do I share just my?
There's a button at the bottom, green, that says share.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but the options, let's see if that's it. Share. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Sorry, I'm not a techie. Okay, can everybody see that? The map?
Yes.
So that's a draft map prepared by Will Farley that shows the streets that will be reduced from 25 to 20. The green dots represent 20-mile-an-hour signs. The red dots represent 25-mile-an-hour signs that will remain. And the yellow ones represent replace 25. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but you can see all the green dots represent all the streets that will be reduced to 20 miles an hour. And we took a straw poll of the board at the last meeting. Everyone was in favor of this. I think it's a great idea. Of course, the issue is enforcement, which was one of the great questions, which is a valid question. The mayor thought that, well, enforcement is always a problem, but at least this will maybe lower the threshold for violations. Rob Heap mentioned that a lot of streets in his neighborhood down here in Bellaterra should have signs that are not shown for signs, and he and Will Farley have been talking back and forth about that. Uh,
So Chris,
yeah,
would the city be willing to look at some of the other other streets? Because I'm looking at, like, for example, like Cloverleaf and Coalwood and Banyan, those should all be 20 as well, right by the rec center. And those
right here.
aren't being reduced either.
And
These,
that street right down to there, like
Yeah,
that, because the
and
people
that's
zoom down that one, the long one.
yeah, that's Cloverleaf.
Yeah.
And
right.
well, it's supposed to be 20 during the school hours because it's a school zone.
Yeah, I would say, you know what, I would say each board member should look at this with, and I uploaded it to Basecamp and documents. Take a look at this, and if you have suggestions, forward them to Rob, so that he can be the coordinator and get them to Will. This is not an immediate issue. The mayor said they'll probably start with first edition, and I said we'd like to be next. So I don't know whether that's going to happen or what the timing is. Right now, they're watching Portland to see how the 20 is plenty program sorts out there. So this is
What is there's black marks. Do those mean something?
the X.
Yeah.
I think that's a 25-mile-an-hour sign that's getting removed
Okay.
because it
Okay.
was a red dot and it's got an X on it.
I see. Okay, thanks.
Where you are pointing now, that's the Palisades World Language School is right in that kind of area.
Yeah,
Right
right.
there. So it's odd they don't have another green sign because that's where there's more speeding. But okay, you want us each to look at it and then send
Yeah.
it to. Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah. Rob's point was, gee, we have all these streets down here and no signs. And Will Farley's point was, we're putting signs at the point of entry and figuring that that's sufficient. So there, he's got a sign here and he's got a sign here. This is Meadowlark, and is this Ridge Point? I'm not sure what this across from the high school. But I noticed in
Oh, that's Overlook.
I'm sorry.
That's Overlook, the one that has a red dot.
Okay, right. Yeah, right
And
here.
then there's
But Ridge Point has the green dot.
Ridge
Yeah.
Point.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So at any rate, take a look at it and make your comments and send them to Rob. That would be the best way to proceed.
And also note that there's nothing going on South Shore itself.
Right. That
Which
remains it remains 25 for this little section west of Canyon.
Well, there's parts of it that are over 25.
Right. It's 30. It's 35 the whole rest of the way.
Right.
Yeah.
And the city, it's outside of the city's jurisdiction.
Yeah. Well, I don't, John, I know you've been concerned about that for a long time. I would still go on the record with Rob, let him know that it's a concern for speeding on South Shore.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, city boards and commissions, this is a big deal. David Westerdahl, you put your name up for the community health and
resiliency, I believe.
Resiliency. That's it. It's a new board. Well, it's a merging of the 50 plus advisory board and the emergency prep board. And that is awesome. Thank you, David. I talked to Quinn tonight, right before the board meeting, and endorsed you for a consideration. And also we have a PNA resident, Peter Carroll, who is a friend of Carrie, and he is putting his name in for the Planning Commission, which is awesome. And we may have others who want to serve on a commission or board. The deadline is this Sunday at midnight. And if you want to pose your name, please let me know before close of business tomorrow. Quinn Bruner, who's the city staff person collecting all these applications, is a wonderful guy. We worked with him on the fire station task force. He's not a decision maker, which means I can talk to him all I want about why this person should be on a board. So please let me know, that I can call Quinn and put in a good word. Elisa.
Hi, I just wanted to let you know that I needed to submit a conflict of interest um, report to my employer, and I need to get that back. I told them I need to know by Friday if I can put my name in for one of the boards. So Chris, I'll keep you informed on that. I was interested in um, the um, the equity board. I was also interested in the community well-being.
Okay.
And I would love to do Parks and Rec, but they meet during business hours, so I can't have a regular commitment, within business hours, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have put my hat in the ring for that one.
Okay. So was that submitted to Quinn, do you think?
No, I haven't submitted yet because I have to get I have to have a conflict of interest review with my employer.
From
And I'm waiting to get that, to get my ability to serve on, to put my name in for a committee approved by my employer. As soon as I get that clearance, I'll put in the paperwork.
Okay, hopefully you get it tomorrow, because the deadline is Sunday.
I've told them that I'm poking the big
Oh,
bear to poke, so.
well, worst case, we could put your name in. I could call Quinn, and then if later on, it's going to be weeks while the process, gets sorted out, and the council and the mayor look at the name. So if we need to pull your name for whatever reason, we could do that.
Oh, that's good to know. That wouldn't be that wouldn't be a problem for me in the future.
No, no,
Okay,
no, not at all.
all right, I appreciate that. That's good to know. I'll go ahead and put my name in.
Okay, great. Nancy?
I submitted my application for Parks and Rec Board.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. So just wanted to let you know that.
Great. Okay. Another call to Quinn. I've talked to him twice. Oh, I think this is so good. I'll tell you, after the officer election meeting, guys, I have to tell you, I am so excited about this year ahead and this board. What an amazing group of people you are. I'm so honored to be part of this team and have all these names. Quinn was just blown away that we had 2 names to put up. Now we have 2 more. So how exciting. Um, let me bring up just 2 quick, not so good news. We have 2 small brush fires burning at Low Rack. One is the driving range. Golf balls are landing in the backyards and hitting houses in Sunny Hill. And so Nancy is taking the lead on that and talking to the residents, and the Ivan and the Parks and Rec are well aware of it. So hopefully we can get it resolved at staff level, but we're ready to take it all the way up if that's what it takes, because this is not a new issue. And maybe you could talk about that a little more in your report, Nancy. And then the second issue is the Carter House. It's a historic farmhouse. If you look at the map, it's right here on the southwest corner of Overlook and Stafford. It's a beautiful, beautiful white historic farmhouse. And evidently the exit from Low Rack onto Overlook had a stop sign, and the city removed the stop sign, thinking that a stop sign isn't needed there. And there have been several near accidents, and the Ben Adams and his wife and family that live in that house are extremely concerned about accidents happening right outside their house. And so that Rob, I've asked Rob to get involved, and the Annalee Adams, Ben's wife, has already reached out to the mayor and city council and everybody. So at any rate, that's another one that's brewing. Hopefully we can hopefully we can resolve both of those at the staff level without having to go to city council.
Chris, you can't use the term brush fire. That like scared me.
Well, I don't know.
It's like the worst fire season ever.
I think it's ironic here. Right out of the chute, we have two problems that need solving. But anyways, you know what? The city council has been really supportive, and they've all said, look, anytime you need anything, if you need anything, just give me a call. So I may take them up on it. That's all I have for my chair report. committee reports. Nancy?
Okay, I'm gonna try to share my screen. We'll see how this works. Here. Share. And then this is what I want to show.
All right, good job.
Yeah, this is Rasik Park, construction of the playground that many of us in PNA went to bat for. So you can see they're putting the basalt columns in place. The area in the center of the basalt columns is the climbing structure. The little tot area will be to the left of the basalt columns, and over to the right will be the basket swings and things like that. So you can see they're just getting underway, but it's very exciting. I'll share a little bit more about that in a minute. Let me get my other notes. I got to find them. Bear with me. All right. So it's on your screen what I'm about to tell you. So I just showed you the picture of what's going on. The first paragraph, Rasik Phase 2, we helped to fund that, and that's going well. Clackamas County, we submitted our Lusher Area Master Plan. It was a voluminous document, apparently, because there's a lot going on with Lusher. What the goals of the plan are to codify what's already happening at Lusher. So there's no notable changes to be concerned about. There are things, safety concerns like moving driveways where there have been some issues at the junction of the driveways, but other than that, it's just codifying what we're doing already, because apparently the Lusher users and all the activities there were not in line with the current plan. So we're just bringing it up to date. So there'll be many hearings about it. More to come. Parks Plan 2040, this has been in your newsletter from the city. It's also on a website. Ivan, head of Parks and Rec, and the team ran a survey of what do we all want from our Parks Department over the coming many years, and they have a draft. It's important to note that this plan is unfunded. It's really a vision document, so nothing is firm in it until there's money behind it. But it looks to explain what they heard from the community as far as our wants and needs. There's a feedback period. If you want to say, hey, you're crazy if you want to do that, don't do that. You can submit public comments. And then part of Parks Plan 2040, there's an athletic field study where they look to see who's using which fields as far as sports field, whether it's soccer, baseball, basketball, whatever, other things, outdoor active sports. And I have another document to share with you on that, but that is a component of Parks Plan 2040. And a key question as far as Rasik development goes was whether we need a sports field at Rasik. Many PNA neighbors said, boy, it'd be nice if it was just a nature park. There's a natural creek that goes through it at one edge called Pecan Creek, and can we just leave it natural? And Park said, well, maybe we don't need the sports field. Let's see what happens when we, evaluate our needs. Well, the answer came back, yes, we need the multi-sports field at Rasik, so that will be going in. That's called Rasik Phase 3. We're in Phase 2 right now with the construction of the playground. So that will be going in. It'll be multi-sport, so it'll have all the lines, whether you want to play lacrosse or soccer or football or whatever else. And there's a study, see if I can find that. Here we go. This is 92 pages, and I promise I won't read you all of it, but you can see they ran some studies for sports fields in 2011, 2019, 2025 is right here. And basically they're saying that while use of fields in general has reduced, there is a great need for baseball because it's a short season and there's not enough hours in the day during the short season to handle all the needs. Soccer is growing and lacrosse to some extent, but our demographics suggest that our fields will be less necessary over the coming 10 years, but then in 2030, because now we're building more housing density is increasing, as you've read in the news. There will be more residents come 2030, and those fields may have more demand at that point, so they'll have to reassess. That's the essence of it. Are there any questions?
Elisa?
A question, and I'm still, of course, new. I didn't know if it was appropriate for me to raise my hand while you're still talking. I apologize if that wasn't what I was supposed to do. On the sports park at Rasique, you mentioned that it's in the plan, it's a decision that we need it, but nothing is permanent until it's funded.
Yeah.
Is it possible with the comment period to still weigh in on that, and are those kinds of decisions going to be considered before the report is finalized?
Yeah, if you have sentiments about what's in the plan, you absolutely should submit comments about how you feel. Those will be weighed with everything else. The original plan for Rasique, when they drew it up the first time, had the sports field in it. And then, about halfway through the planning and building process, they said, well, maybe we don't need that field. Let's wait and see. So phase 1 and 2 are funded, as you know, because phase 2 is underway. Phase 3 is unfunded. And so they'd have to ask for money from the city or from the voters, one or the other, in order to get that in. So absolutely.
Thank you. And do you happen to know the deadline for comments?
I do. It is on this one. The plan will go before council on May 20th. Your comments are due by May 9th, so that's tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate the information.
You're welcome.
Do you want to put that in the chat, Nancy? Just cut and paste that one so people could
Sure.
find it if they wanted to. Okay, thanks.
Sure, I'll do that. And then the other piece Chris asked me to talk about, we have a neighbor, Stephen, who lives on Clara Court in the Sunny Hills neighborhood. He lives near the cemetery, kind of. And he has neighbors along Clara Court, and they are receiving golf balls from over the net on the driving range, and it's a safety issue. I'll spare you the storytelling, but you wouldn't want a high-speed golf ball whizzing past your child's head. So we're going to work to solve that.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Land use, Meg?
I have to admit that there's not much going on right now. There's a couple of pre-application meetings that I've gone to, but it's kind of, a lot of them are in administrative only, so there's not too much. The one I'm waiting for is for the Stafford project to be ready for its public review from the DRC, and I have not heard when that's going to happen. But other than that, land use is kind of quiet right now.
Great. South Shore Fire Station is actually moving along pretty well. We've had presentations to several neighborhood associations, and the city has now hired a project manager on board, and we will have a booth set up at some of the farmers markets downtown and at Lake Grove, so that we're starting to get the word out to the community. School, Jenny, good
Thank
job.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for submitting questions too. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to say you were talking about a booth for the fire station. I know the Palisades World Language School has invited our association to their festival. It's an annual international children's festival where the whole school is involved. And as you know, the Palisades World Language School is a commuter school, so kids come from all over. And that might be a good chance if you want to do a booth, we could do a Palisades booth / fire station booth to communicate out messages. So they've invited us to have a booth. They've also invited the community to come volunteer. So if there's any interest from anyone to come an hour early or stay an hour late to learn more about Palisades and join our community, we'd be happy to have people. So I think that's one of the challenges of having a school where people come from all over. The school really wants to be able to form stronger community relationships with the neighbors in the area. since not everyone is always familiar with this school. So if you're interested, just email me and I'm happy to connect you. And that's it. And then the second thing is the new bond committee that is going to start communicating the value of this next education bond and to support it is starting soon. So as soon as I have more information, I'll be sharing out information that people can give me feedback on too about what you think of the bond and ways that we can better promote it. Or if you have questions and disagree with it, what can we do to help better educate the public on why we need this last and third bond to help our children and the community. And the biggest thing that we see right now, is making sure all the schools are earthquake resilient, because in the event of this big Cascadia zone earthquake, we want all the schools to be standing, and the schools also to be a community point if people need shelter and water and different places. So usually in a disaster, a school is a good meeting point and for families who need housing and support. So we want to make sure all our schools can withstand a Cascadia zone earthquake. And this bond will help do that. Thank you.
I think I shared this too soon. Did you want to say anything about this?
No, this is on May 22nd. That's the International Children's Day celebration that we've been invited to. So if you would like to, we could talk about maybe have a Palisades Neighborhood Association booth there. We've been invited if we want to have a booth, and we can maybe do a split booth with the fire department if you think that's a good idea to start talking to anybody about, the neighborhood about that. And if people want to volunteer for this event, that's coming up. So I'll be writing up a little something in the newsletter, but they're looking for our association to join the International Children's Day celebration on Thursday, May 22nd, from either having a booth or volunteering if people are interested.
Is this connected to the fire station in some way?
Oh, that's what I was saying. So you were saying you wanted to have a fire station booth, like to have a booth to communicate why we need a new fire station. I'm like, you could communicate that at this booth if you wanted to, but maybe I misunderstood you, Chris.
No, sorry. I was just mentioning that the city will have a booth at the farmers markets.
Okay.
I don't. This is
You,
this. I mean, this is
confusing. All
something
right.
we can consider, but I don't think I don't think there's a connection yet with this group.
Well, it's the school in the neighborhood. So if you wanted to reach the voters and people that are going to the school, that would be one place. So that was it. But okay, you're going to be at the farmers market. So
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That's it.
Rob is out. We talked a little about the stop sign issue. Pathways are going in on Treetop and Meadowlark, which is great. Hopefully it'll be sidewalks. Hopefully that'll make those two streets safer. Emergency prep, David. Thanks for putting your name up for that committee. That's very exciting.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's exciting, and I look forward to kind of seeing how things go related to that. And Jenny, I just want to thank you for facilitating a wonderful discussion again at the beginning of this meeting tonight, and the school board candidates as well for being part of this and their efforts to work to make the schools and students have the best possible experience here in Lake Oswego. Well, I'm new to the emergency prep role, and I had a meeting with Gary and Frederic a couple weeks ago as they try to coach me up into this role. And so I really appreciate their mentorship and maybe dealing with some of my text messages and questions. Well, so we were able to include an interview in time for this newsletter for May with Lieutenant John Isbell, who's with the South Shore Fire Station, and really appreciate his and his team's time that they took to answer some questions for me. And I think individuals in our community who read that will find some valuable pro tips from a house fire prevention and just home safety standpoint. So, please take a look at that if you haven't already. I wanted to talk a little bit too about CERT training, as in our conversation with Frederic and Carrie and I, we were talking about some opportunities for creating brief surveys as part of the newsletter. And so one of the thoughts that came to mind, we're trying to determine who might be CERT, Community Emergency Response Team, certified in our community. So we're going to try and explore that to find out who is currently certified in our community and who also might be interested in getting certified. later this month, May 21st, there's actually a refresher course for certified individuals at the Westlake Fire Station, May 21st from 6:30 to 9:30. If you know of someone who might be interested in that refresher or need it, since they're already certified, please let them know. And we look forward to trying to explore individuals who might have that certification, so that if there is a situation like Jenny alluded to earlier, where volunteers might be needed, or we might need individuals trained in additional emergency response, God forbid there's some other emergency natural disaster that takes place, that we have a understanding of who in our community might be ready for being called up, so to speak, to help our community. Another thing that I wanted to kind of allude to as well is we're going to try and provide additional interviews with local officials that would be emergency prep related for our upcoming newsletters. And if you know of someone or have a topic you'd like me to look at that you feel would be relevant for the emergency prep communications to our community, please let me know, as we'll try and pursue that. Another thing that is a little off topic for the emergency preparedness, though, that was brought up in our conversation, and we've talked about at other meetings, is National Night Out. And so I just wanted to ask many of you to look at saving that date in August. It looks to be Tuesday, August 5th right now is considered National Night Out. We'll try and confirm that again with Frederick, but look for more information as it pertains to that as an upcoming event later this summer as well. I think that wraps it up.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, David. You've jumped into the deep end. Carrie is out. She's at the budget committee meeting. And I don't think Joe's online. So we'll go to additional comment. Welcome, Rick and Katie. Anything you would like to add or say hi?
Just real quick, something that has come up with the Stafford Hamlet Family Fest that usually is the first weekend in September. With the road construction and thing, we've decided to take a hiatus for at least a year, could possibly be two. So that was kind of our celebration to celebrate community and that stuff. So that's, and then we have, once again, we have a next Tuesday, a meeting on Zoom. You can get to staffordhamlet.com and has all the information. So, and I'm probably the one who likes the fact that Stafford Road is closed right now. Although the traffic in my driveway has increased recently also for the turnarounds.
Okay. If there's no other comment, then I think I will close the meeting. Just
You know what? Can I say something? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be talking about one of the brush fires. My name is Katie Richards. Steve Connolly couldn't be here tonight, so I'm representing him as well as the rest of the neighbors along Clara Court that back up to the driving range. And I want to just tell you that this is an urgent matter, and we are seeking your help, the PNA, to help facilitate a meeting with Ivan, the Director of Parks and Rec, so we can express our concerns and get this thing resolved. And I think we were told that that would happen in a timely manner, and that this meeting was going to authorize going ahead with facilitating a meeting with Ivan. Is that correct?
Nancy, do you want to address that?
Yeah, I'm reaching out to Kira, who's the project manager for parks projects like LORAC and RASIC and so on, to ask for that meeting.
With Ivan.
With Ivan, right. The concept that Chris talked to me about, just to make sure we're on the same page, is I understand it's shut, the driving range is shut down right now. And
Oh, no, it is not at all.
It is not. Okay,
No,
that's
no.
different than what I heard.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
If I misspoke, I'm sorry, Nancy. It was shut down temporarily to fix the holes in the net. But once they fixed those, then it's been reopened.
Oh my goodness.
And there are continuing to, we find range balls in our yard and hitting our houses. So somehow they are still getting through. And they are
Got it.
getting out, not only on our houses, but those that are without the bounds of the driving range. So there's some
Can you
pretty
leave?
significant
Yeah.
issues here and concerns that we really need to speak with Ivan about.
Okay, all right. I have Steven's email address, I think. Could you leave
Mhm.
yours in the chat or somehow send it to me so I have contact information for you?
Yeah, I'll get it to you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Great meeting. Thank you, everyone. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Nancy, did you stop the recording?
Oh, I didn't start it.
I
You
did.
struck.
I
Okay.
did.
Okay.
I started it and I can't